Hey, hey, hey! So today is a very special
Hello.
day. Today I'm being joined by my son, Joey.
Hello.
Because today we are going to talk about his birth story and how he was born and everything like that, all of that good stuff. He is turning 12 today. We're pre-filming this, but this is going to be posted. It's going to be posted on your birthday.
Oh. Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about today is, like I said, I'm going to talk about Joey's birth story, and because it's kind of interesting. And so that it'll be on YouTube, so he'll have it to look back on and be like, haha, this is how I was born. Whatever.
I feel I had a watermelon head.
So I was actually with my ex-boyfriend when I found out that I was pregnant. And we had split up. And he had gotten another girlfriend, so I was very upset. I began talking with guys online, and that's actually how I met my husband. It's on a website called OkCupid, and that could be for a whole nother video in and of itself. And I'm not advocating online dating because you have to be very, very careful nowadays where you're talking to. But I started talking to him, and I was kind of just pissed off at men at that point because of everything that my ex had done. And so to push the guys away that showed interest because I knew that they were just after like a sexual relationship, I was like, yeah, well, I'm pregnant. And Jason, my husband, was like the only guy. I told him I was pregnant, and he's like, oh, cool, I like kids, you know? And I was like, fuck. So we began talking and eventually began an online long-distance relationship because he's from Tennessee and I'm from Nebraska, so it's kind of a long ways.
Me and you both in the same state now.
Yeah, well, yeah. What ended up happening was I flew him out here he was going to stay with, I was living with my folks at the time. He was going to stay with us for about 2 weeks, and then we were going to drive together to Tennessee, and then we were both going to live. Hang on, this light is driving me absolutely nuts. Why have the light if it's not going to? We were going to drive to Tennessee and live in his brother's house because he told me that his brother had a house that was that we could live in together. And I was already scared to tell my parents that I was pregnant. Telling them that I was pregnant, you know, of course they wanted me to give the baby up for adoption. I was not working at the time. I was not, like, I don't want to say I wasn't taking care of myself, but I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't have a job. You know, I wasn't supporting, let's say instead of taking care of myself, let's say supporting myself. You know, I didn't have my own place. I didn't have a job. I wasn't like a grown up, you know, and I didn't have my own stuff. I was living at home and dependent on my parents for everything. And obviously, that's not the ideal situation in which you want to have a baby. So we arranged for Jason to come out here. He stayed out here for about 2 weeks, and then we drove together in my car to Tennessee, only to discover that his brother's house was pretty trashy, so we couldn't live there. We ended up living in my car for a long time while I was pregnant. And this was we got together in February. It was April that he flew out here. In April, it was March, maybe at the end of March, something like that. And it was April when we went down to Tennessee. So Tennessee is in the South. If you've ever been to Tennessee, you know that the air down there, especially during the summertime, can be very, very humid, very, very thick, right? And coming from a place like Nebraska where the air is just, I feel like it's clean and pure. It's not thick. It's very, very thin. It's easy to breathe. Even in the summertime, even when it's humid, it's not thick, you know.
I mean, didn't we go to Tennessee once?
We've been there a couple of times,
yeah. Yeah, I remember there being exactly the same. Although, last time was years ago, so memory is probably not good.
Well, the humidity is just very, very high down there, and it makes it's a very, very sticky, heat.
Dry.
Heat. Well, I don't know how to explain all that. But it was quite the shock. And then to be living in our car, we started out staying out at his brother's house. We would park right outside and then stay there overnight. And then it ended up, we would park in the Walmart parking lot, and stay there overnights. And we would take showers and everything at his aunt's house, which was where his mother was staying. This continued for a while. This was in April, May, June. Let's see. My due date was July 8th. And I was kind of excited about that because, you know, Independence Day is the 4th of July is July 4th. And I was like, well, that's, you know, kind of cool. The 8th. Well, the 8th came and went, and no Joey. And my parents had arranged to drive down from here in Nebraska. Hang on. All right, let's try this again. My video was getting kind of slow and was kind of jerking things around. So, so July 8th came and went. Summertime in Tennessee in the South is very hot. It's very sticky. It's very sweaty. When you're pregnant, you're already that way. And I was at that point 8-9 months pregnant, and I was ready to be done. Okay, I was just ready. And we had gone to the hospital a couple times because I thought that different things had happened that happen when you give birth. I don't want to be too graphic in the video because I just want to focus on like the story of it. But I had been to the hospital a couple times thinking that I had been going into labor, or that something was wrong, or that something was going on. So I was ready to be done. And of course, one of the suggestions they have to break your water to get labor started is to sleep with your partner. So we had gotten a hotel room. We were doing things, and I felt something pop. And we were both like, oh shit, you know? So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to go straight to the hospital. We're going to need to get to the hospital, you know, whatever. Well, it happened that day was a food pantry giveaway. And Jason's mom and Jason's brother were both participating in that. They were helping with it. So instead of going right to the hospital, no, we went and picked them up from the church where it was at. We loaded them up, loaded all the food up that they picked up, and took them to the aunt's house, unloaded them, unloaded all of the groceries. And I'm sitting here going like, Jason, like, we need to get to the hospital. Like, you know, this happened. Like, we need to go. And because his mom was a nurse, his mom was like, you're fine. You got to, and I'm just sitting here getting more and more pissed off. Okay. And, that was a Monday. It was Monday morning.
Of course, the worst day of the week.
And what was funny is that was the day my parents had planned on heading down to kind of help us with Joey. They had planned on heading down because my due date was the 8th. They had planned on heading down on the 12th. And leaving on the 12th, and then they were going to get there on the 13th and stay there for a couple of days. I don't remember how long they actually stayed, but that was the plan, right? So the 12th, and I'm thinking, you know, they were hoping that Joey would have already been born so that they could just spend more time with him. But this stubborn little brat was not born.
Yeah, I just said, oh, you're planning? How about I just no?
Yes. So I laugh every time I tell this because it's just the funniest thing. We go to the hospital on Monday, the 12th. I get admitted. My body is not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not dilating. They finally, well, first of all, they weren't going to admit me, but because it was past my due date, and they were kind of like, it's fine, we'll induce you. You know, we'll get you going. So unfortunately, I had I had the unfortunate experience of dealing with, I think it was Pitocin, which it does get your labor started. It does help your water break. It does help you dilate and all that stuff. But it can be very painful because you're having labor pains. I got back labor. Okay, you're shaking the thing. That's why I keep trying to block it. I had back labor, which means instead of labor happening in the front, you're getting it in your back. And it's terrible. I could not get comfortable. They had a monitor strapped on my belly for me, and then they had one strapped for the baby. And it was just, I was miserable. Like, I could not get comfortable. I couldn't sit in one position. I couldn't sit still. I was constantly moving around. I think I even took a shower to try and, relax, take a hot shower, trying to relax the hot muscles. And I just can't, or take a hot shower to relax the muscles and see if that would help.
It said no.
I was just in so much pain. And I was finally like, Jason would leave. At that time, he was still smoking. So he would leave and go out and smoke with his friend. And, which is fine for him, of course, He gets to leave. He gets to ignore this that's happening. He gets to go and do something else. And he also gets to eat. I was not allowed to eat, which is one thing I hate in the U.S., is that they do not allow laboring mothers to eat anything. And I kind of understand why, but at the same time,
I don't.
At the same time, other countries do, and they have healthier birth rates than we do. They have, they have better, healthier babies and things like that. Healthier babies, healthier mamas. Anyway, so of course, I was starving. I was miserable. I was in pain. The most that they would give me to eat, because when I don't eat, sometimes I get really nauseous and I feel sick. So the most that they would give me to eat was like crackers. And of course, you can't have anything really to drink. So you're just drinking water or trying to eat ice. And I was upset. Tuesday rolls around and I'm making progress, but I'm still not quite where I'm supposed to be. So, let's see, did they admit me on Monday? They had to have, because I went. Anyway, I swear I was in the hospital way too long. Anyway, my body was making progress, but it was still not where it was supposed to be. So they increased the dosage, which, whatever. And I think the nurses had enough of me by midday Tuesday, and they gave me, in the evening, I think they had given me a sedative, that was safe for the baby, whatever. But I took the sedative because I just wanted to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't hardly, I couldn't move, but I couldn't not move because I couldn't get comfortable. So I couldn't just sit down. We had to take a short little break. Sorry about all the shaking. We're trying to keep it steady. This is a different layout. So Tuesday night. So I was admitted Monday. Tuesday night. They gave me a sedative. I was actually able to sleep.
What?
And what was really funny, because if you've never given birth, obviously it's very painful. And you can choose to have an epidural, which is given to you by a long needle right in your spine. And I was not opposed to this because I was having back labor and it was horrendous. And I was like, no, whatever, okay? Make the pain go away. I'm in so much pain. I'm uncomfortable. I can't hardly think. I'm irritable. I haven't eaten anything. So I'm starving. I'm hungry, which already makes me...
I mean, I can get you a granola bar.
No, I'm talking about when I was in labor with you.
Oh.
And, I was just not in a very good place. So they give me the sedative. And just when they wait for me to pass out enough, they come and tell me, oh, hey, you're dilated enough that we can give you your epidural. Because you have to be dilated at a certain amount before they'll give you the epidural. I'm like, okay, cool. They have given me the sedative. The nurse comes in. They had to have 2 nurses come in. because one had to stand in front of me and prop me up because I was sitting there. I was like, because you have to sit up in bed, right? And they inject it into your back. And there's, by the way, if you don't know, make sure if you're pregnant and you're thinking about getting an epidural, I highly encourage you to research the side effects of what can happen with an epidural, because some of the back pain that I have now, I believe could be contributed to that epidural, to receiving an epidural. And there's many women who also have the same back issues. I also have a slipped herniated disc in my lower back, which does contribute to back pain too. However, I do think that some of it could be due to the epidural. So make sure you research that, because I didn't know anything about that until I started researching back pain, you know, if you've had an epidural, and that all came up. So make sure you look that up. But, and of course, if they inject it in the wrong spot, it could fail to work because it paralyzes your whole lower body, right? It numbs your whole lower body. You can't feel anything, which is wonderful when you're giving birth. But, you know, it could, I mean, there's things that can go wrong, right? So you have to sign a whole waiver for it. They had given me a sedative, so I'm sitting here, you know, sitting up, and I have a nurse kind of propping me up. I am falling asleep on this nurse. She's like, stay awake, honey, and trying to make, you know, stay straight. And I'm just sitting here. I swear I may have, I want to say that I remember feeling the epidural, but I don't. And it's hard not to feel you know, it's like a 6-9 inch needle. Like it's a long needle. It's not a short needle, and it's not one of those teeny tiny little sewing needles either. No. This is a not a huge needle, but it's bigger than a normal needle. So
6-9 inches.
6 to 9 inches,
69.
I would say. Yeah, it's a good size needle they use for those epidurals. Like, you just
69.
If you're pregnant, don't look that up. Look up the side effects of an epidural. Don't look up how big the needle is, because you will just...
That's what she said.
Oh, anyway, so I get the epidural. They've given me a sedative. The epidural begins to work. I am no longer in pain. I am finally able to get some sleep. So I go to sleep, and I wake up, and it's like 9 or 10 o'clock, I want to say. And they're saying, okay, good. You know, you're about 9 centimeters. And I'm like, cool. I was so tired. I was like, okay, cool. And I passed back out, and they woke me up. I want to say maybe about 10:30, 11, maybe 11:30. And they were like, all right, well, you're almost ready to start pushing. You're almost fully dilated. Almost ready to start pushing. We're just waiting for your doctor. I actually had a midwife at the time. She was a midwife. She had a medical doctor, like...
What's a midwife?
A midwife is someone who is certified and trained on how to give birth, or how to help women give birth. But she's not a medical doctor.
So basically the instruction manual?
Well, like, if I needed a C-section and I needed to go in for surgery, or if something happened to go wrong, she would not have been able to assist me. Otherwise, she is trained. She's able to help me give birth. They're, you know, they're very trained. And I do highly, highly recommend midwives. Not that doctors are bad. Not that OBGYNs are bad. Nothing like that. But my experience was freaking amazing. And I love, when I get pregnant again, I'm definitely going to be seeking out a midwife.
Information is key. According to you.
But... and they said, we're waiting on your doctor. And I said, okay. And they said, because she's got about 5 other patients in here right now giving birth. We were all in the same little nook, right? So there was like 5 rooms right around each other, and we were all her patients, I guess.
Holy.
And it was so funny because the doctor over her, who was a very, very kind older fellow, and he had been an OB for a long time, knew what he was doing. He ended up having to come in and check me, and it was kind of awkward because when it comes to gynos and OBGYN, like, I greatly prefer women over men in that area. So he came in and checked me, and I said, do you think she's going to be here on time? And he he kind of had this smirk on his face, and he's like, yeah, he goes, but if she doesn't, I will be here. She's going to try. She's going to try. So, we waited a little bit, and, my body really wasn't doing anything. I mean, they have the strap on to see how the baby is, right? The heartbeat and everything. Hang on, it's doing that thing again. So, one thing that I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So, my parents had left Monday morning. They actually got into Tennessee Tuesday evening when I was, I think a little bit before I got the sedative and the epidural and all that. They came and saw me. It's fine. Next morning, of course, they were at the hospital again, waiting to hear anything. My mom was going to be in the room with me, and she was going to be able to watch Joey being born, basically. So they woke me up, and they were like almost ready to push. The doctor comes in and checks me and tells me that there's just a lot of her patients that happen to be giving birth at the same time. So I'm sitting here and I'm just like, and of course I can't feel anything, and the printouts are showing my contractions, and they're showing that they're happening, and I'm just enjoying it, because by that point the epidural had kicked in. I couldn't feel anything. Okay. Y'all, listen, I know there's like risk factors to the epidural, but when I was in so much pain with the back pain, plus the Pitocin and the BS to kickstart labor and to induce you, and it's a lot. And at some point, I think it was Tuesday, my water broke. I thought I peed the bed. I got the nurse and I was like, I think I wet the bed. And she goes, no, your water broke.
Oh, geez.
So there's a lot of different funny things that happened, but, so it was Tuesday evening. My parents get there. Wednesday morning is when they woke me up, and I'm just waiting for my doctor, right? Like, I'm hoping that I can hold Joey in time for my doctor. And, I wasn't needing to push very much. I mean, it wasn't time yet. My parents were there, and all of a sudden, I'm awake. I'm ready to push. We're just kind of waiting on my doctor and, hoping that my body will wait too. No more than the nurse was like, all right, you're ready to push. You're ready to start pushing, start actively laboring. I don't know what that means. Anyway, you're ready to start like the birthing process. Well, no more than she says that. My doctor comes running in, and Joey boy over here, decides listen, they told me that my doctor was with other patients and my body was fine. The doctor comes in right after the nurse is like, all right, let's go ahead and, we need to get you started. You're close to pushing. Doctor comes in. She's like, all right, let's get this baby out or whatever. And no more than she came in and said that Joey decided he was ready to be born. So I started pushing. They started having me push. I did not push very long, or very many times. And they actually had to tell me to stop pushing because all the blood and everything was coming out. My mom was holding my right leg. Jason was holding my left leg. And little boy was born. And I didn't feel a dang thing. They had to tell me to stop pushing because I didn't feel him come out. If you don't have an epidural, I would imagine that you would feel that, but I did not. So it was very interesting. He had enough patience. He actually waited for the doctor to be ready and then decided, nope, he was ready. As soon as the doctor was ready, Joey was ready, boom. And it didn't take very long, and he was born at 12:53 p.m. on July 14th, 2011. You want to come up here and show them your face? I'm sorry that it's skipping because my phone is an idiot. And Google is not cooperating. Oh, thank you, Joey. That's great. He was so patient. But I have to say, throughout my whole pregnancy, he was very active. He was a kicker. Me and Jason were convinced he was going to be a soccer player. Like, he was kicking. He was very, very active. I constantly craved strawberries. Like, there was a time we got a pound of strawberries from Walmart.
What about strawberry? Yeah, cherry milk. Yeah, chocolate milk.
Nope. Nope. But we got a 1 pound thing of strawberries from Walmart. And we went back to Jason's aunt's house, and we were sitting with his mom at the kitchen table, and I was downing these strawberries. Okay, Jason washed them for me, or somebody washed them, and I was just downing these strawberries. Like, I was eating these strawberries. She's like, Jason was like, slow down. Slow down.
Did you ever barf or something? And if not,
this one, and I craved strawberries and strawberry milkshakes. Strawberry milkshakes was my number one craving. Strawberries, it was always that when I was pregnant with him.
Face
you know,
of disapproval.
We didn't have a whole lot of money, and we were finally able to get on food stamps and in Tennessee and things like that. But it was, you know, he waited. Not only did this little boy wait for my parents to get there for the birth, but then he waited for the doctor to get in the room, and he waited for everybody he wanted to be there. And now we have ADHD and don't wait for anything.
Yeah. To be honest, I can't tell. The Odin says increased or decreased since.
But I just thought his birth story was very interesting. I wanted to record it for posterity purposes so that he could watch it anytime he wants to and remember that. So we also get told that we look alike. Joey doesn't like that. He says we don't look alike.
We do not. Stop.
So let me know down in the comments what you think. Like the video. Like the video if you like this video. If you have a unique birth story of your own, go ahead and let me know. I'm curious to hear it. I'm going to do the outro. Do you want me to kiss you on camera?
No. Wait, what?
Okay. Subscribe if you haven't already, because you never know what kind of content is going to pop up over here on this channel. I did go with a natural face today, so this is like no makeup. I did put moisturizer and stuff on, but this is no makeup. So you see my brows are not there, okay? But that is how Joey was born. The story of Joey's birth and all of the funny little things that happened.
Can you please don't comment we look the same? Can you don't? Please do not.
We love you so much. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, editing Ashley here, and I don't know why it makes me look so red, yellow. Anyway, one thing that I forgot to say in Joey's birth story is that he was born weighing 6 pounds, 2 ounces. He was 18.5 inches long. 18.5 inches long. He was obviously pretty small, but I wanted to include that. He was born on July 14th, 2010 at 12:53 p.m., weighing 6 pounds, 2 ounces, and he was 18.5 inches long. Is there anything else?
So yeah.
He was very small.
Yeah, I am Joey in the background.
And yeah, but I wanted to add that because I realized last night I wasn't feeling good yesterday, so trying to film that was pain in the butt. But
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I just wanted to add that for posterity. So that's how much he weighed and how long he was when he was born.